The ideology of ISIS is clearly supremacist in the sense that anybody who is not Islamic, in their understanding, is to be either enslaved or eradicated. This is a genocidal movement. You kill Christians, you kill Jews, you kill Yazidis, but you may, in certain circumstances, enslave them. That's what we are up against, and we have an administration that will not even admit that there's a religious basis underlying what's going on.
That Charles Krauthammer on Special Report with Brett last night. This after the White House condemning the beheadings of 21 Egyptians by ISIS, calling it despicable and calling it heinous, but the statement did not mention their Christian faith. Now, why is that? Rudy Giuliani's the former mayor of New York City, and good morning to you. There was a conference call yesterday. There was no briefing because of the holiday. There's no briefing today. But apparently during this conference call on Monday, no reporter asked the specific question, so we are left to try and figure out on our own. Why not mention the fact that they are Christians?
Why not when, in fact, the killers announced that this was being done to people of the cross? It was being done because of their faith. They left no ambiguity about why these people were being killed. They were being killed as crusaders, people of the faith, people of the cross. And then the Prime Minister of England referred to Christians. Of course, the Pope referred to it as all Christians. Doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Protestant, or form of Orthodoxy. In the face of all that, why you wouldn't do it is very, very troubling. And this happens all the time now. It goes back to the workplace violence that he described Fort Hood as. There's some. That's
way back in November 2009. The language
we have many situations like this where people have been killed by Islamic extremists. We also have no words Islamic extremist terrorism. The killing is done in the name of their religion. They may misinterpret their religion, or maybe their interpretation of the religion, but it's done for that reason. That's the connecting force. Without identifying the connecting force, you have a very, very hard time analyzing it, understanding it, being able to fight it intellectually, being able to fight it as a war of ideas as well as militarily.
And what the White House might say was, what difference does that make? Because, we're calling it terrorism because they are terrorists.
But it isn't terrorism.
And they would also argue, hey, we're having this summit on extremism that starts today, apparently. It goes for 2 days in Washington. But it isn't just extremism.
It is a particular form of terrorism or extremism, a very, very particular form, and the predominant form, without doubt, in the world. If you look at the other extremist acts, they make up 1%, 2%, 3%. I'm probably exaggerating, 5%. This is our enemy. And if you can't identify, there were lots of forms of fascism, but it didn't stop us from using the word Nazi. We didn't say fascists in general, because we were afraid to say Nazi. Would have given Hitler a pretty good understanding of our cowardice if that were the case.
The language is strong. Barbarity knows no bounds, a heinous act, despicable and cowardly murder. But, as you mentioned, the Pope's talking about the Christians. Everybody's talking about the Christians. The Egyptians themselves identified them as Egyptian Christians.
Militarily, I think it hurts because it hurts in not being able to identify your enemy. But philosophically and academically, and all of which is important, and fighting for the minds and hearts of the people, it hurts a lot because it doesn't set up the fact that the religion has an interpretation that is incorrect, that is horrible, that is brutal, that needs to be changed. It doesn't challenge that. And Islam needs to be challenged to change internally, like the Protestant Reformation, like the various forms of Judaism, Reform, Conservative, Orthodox. The Islamic religion needs that challenge, and the people who are the Reform Islamics need that support, and they're not getting it from him. By him not referring to it, it's actually, he thinks he's somehow being euphemistic about Islam and not hurting people. He's actually hurting them a lot more. People who are against it, Islamics who are against it, makes them feel like, well, we're all the same.
It doesn't appear that they're going to change. And I think they've said that, terrorists.
It's a horribly ignorant thing to do.
I want to move you to this long piece in the Atlantic that's out this week. And you can quibble with a lot of the elements in this article, and we can debate them in the future. But the title is What ISIS Really Wants. I felt the big takeaway from this piece, and I encourage people to go ahead and read and educate yourselves on it, is this. If they have a caliphate, they win. But to have a caliphate, you need land and you need geography. And they have that now in Syria and Iraq. If you take that away, you defeat them.
Oh, no question about it. Absolutely, they have. Well, let's look at it this way. They have Syria and Iraq. They're looking for more, right? The reality is, if you defeat them, then Syria and Iraq become part of Iran, which is almost the same thing, and Yemen. So we're looking at two possibilities here, both of which are horrible. If you allow Iran to help you defeat ISIS, which we seem to be doing, we're going to end up with, if we defeat ISIS, one gone and a new Iranian empire, which is what the Iranians are trying to do and have been trying to do from the beginning. Nobody's looking at that, and they should.
That's a great point.
This administration is ready to give us away to Iran. Right on the verge of doing it.
Mayor, thank you. Rudy Giuliani with us in studio.
Thank you.
Be well.